Johannesburg has a new mayor, but right now most people are asking how long will he remain in charge for? The city has seen short-lived mayoral stints, with Al Jamaa's Thapelo Ahmad being the latest to vacate the hot seat, resigning after just 3 months. Now his fellow party member Gwamanda has now been given the mayoral chains and promises to restore the city's declining service delivery. Our reporter eNCA's Sweetie Jones is following the story for us, and he joins us live now to give us that update. Colleague, a very warm good morning to you. And I mean, maybe I can believe that instead of focusing on what plans Kabelo has, it seems people are asking, is he another pop-up mayor in the city of Johannesburg? That seems to be really the burning question.
Yeah, definitely. It's a question which the ANC denies, saying that there's this political power sharing, saying they're working with other parties as well in a co-governing operation. These parties as well includes the smaller parties from the benches. We've seen this unfolding in the city of Ekurhuleni and of course in other municipalities such as the West Rand and Mohale City as well. But is this in the best interest of the residents? That's the question on everyone's lips. If you go on social media, everyone is quite a bit disappointed and questioning the move of the new mayor. Yesterday, the chairperson, Panyaza Disupi, said the new mayor would have not one, not two, but 3 advisors in his office to try and prevent what happened previously with the former mayor of Johannesburg, Thapelo Ahmad from Al Jamaa. But the state of the city speaks volumes. In the CBD, as you can see, there's still a bit of poor service delivery. The city is quite dirty, some waste not being collected for quite some time. And residents and of course business owners here are quite worried about the state of Johannesburg, which hasn't been taken into consideration for quite some time. We're currently in the CBD here, and also this is one area riddled by a lot of potholes as well. But next to it are businesses operating, and you can understand this will affect the local economy of these businesses, because if they cannot make a bit of revenue, it means that they cannot provide food for their families, or they cannot sustain their businesses in a form of generating more income. As you can see, this is how the CBD looks like at this particular moment. But Tumelo, I'm not alone here this morning. I'm joined by, of course, Mr. Julius Clayhunt from Alta, who we're going to be chatting to regarding service delivery in the city of Johannesburg and regarding the political status in the metro. Mr. Julius, thank you very much for speaking to us. I'm chatting to my colleague Tumelo, and we're currently in the city of Johannesburg. We're showing how things are decaying as well, while the political wrangling continues in the City Council of Johannesburg. Is this something to be worried about?
I think we must be very worried. You know, we've seen how the political meddling has affected service delivery directly. And the municipality is supposed to be run like a business, you know, a business providing services. And that's not being rendered. Now, there's no longevity in this. You know, we're going to see this kind of thing happen quite often. And sadly, the political side of a municipality has become a career. So it's about how much your party benefits from whatever is being done at the expenses of residents. And this is completely unacceptable. I think where they are really shooting themselves in the foot is that it's becoming too expensive to live in a city that's not providing you sustainable services. Hence, people are looking at different alternatives. You know, it's cheaper from a rates point of view these days to stay in the city of Cape Town. Why not move your business? You know, and what's going to happen to the economy that we've already seen partially being negatively influenced by pandemics and the world itself, collapsing in South Africa, which is in Joburg, which we used to call the city of gold. I don't think that is the city. It's a city of potholes these days. We're seeing so much water loss. I mean, it's about 40% that people are paying for that's being lost. You know, potholes everywhere. We've seen recently now someone being hit by a car, but, you know, because they're trying to warn people about a pothole. People who try to fix the potholes that the city's not being fixing are being victimized and threatened that the city will take them to court. I mean, it's unacceptable. What is this all about? You know, And at the end of the day, I think, again, if you look at the IDP, the Integrated Development Plan, the budget, all these kind of things of the city has been delayed because of new political changes. And politicians are supposed to just play an oversight role. You know, your municipality and your municipal manager needs to be run independently. It actually just has to execute its mandate. Why is there so much influence from a political point of view? And then you get the allegations that, hey, listen, there's all this meddling happening because these guys are actually just there to benefit from tenders. So one has to start thinking, you know, what is the real purpose of the political oversight in council these days? Because they don't actually have the powers to administer the municipality. They should actually just play the role of oversight. And us as residents need to now step up, get our hands dirty and start holding them to account.
And what do you make about a brand Johannesburg? I mean, you make reference to the draft IDP budget that still has to be, you know, presented and taken out to the communities in the city of Joburg. That has been delayed. They have up until the beginning of June to do that, or the city may be dissolved. And that's according to the Cocktail MEC, of course, Mzi Kumalo. But what do we make about brand Johannesburg? Because we are now seeing mayors coming from the minority parties who, by the way, voters do not vote for. And it's quite concerning. You look at the public outcry as well on social media platforms and on the streets as well. Does this dent the reputation of the city of Johannesburg?
Of course, it's got a direct effect on the city of Johannesburg, you know, from three different forms. Let's look at the city itself. People don't invest in a country. You know, you invest where you live. You invest in infrastructure in your business, you know. So it's where we live. It's where our kids go to school. So I think just the brand of the city, you know, I think is being questioned. Whether, you know, I wouldn't invest in the city myself. I wouldn't buy a property there. And then from a different point of view, just from a political meddling, it's become almost kind of the playground for corruption and all this political meddling to benefit whom? The political party lines and all those beneficiaries around it. It's not to serve the public, and I think that's a big issue, you know. And sadly, we're looking at the institutions of the city that's completely collapsing. I mean, the city power is really, it should be liquidated. You know, the same with JRA, the Joburg's roads agencies. These guys are failing to actually do their jobs, and there's a lot of money at stake. You know, just city power currently, I think, is paying on debt. They're paying about 36 million rand a month on interest. I mean, it's ludicrous. And at the end of the day, who has to foot the bill? It's the ratepayer. And then we see other potential tactics coming into play with the demarcation board, where these municipal boundaries are now even extended more to include other communities outside of the boundary and provide services for them. There's even vacant land in it. So you cannot help but to question, okay, are more people going to be bussed in before the next elections so that a political party can be empowered? Again, the city doesn't have sufficient funds to provide the services that it should now. And I can see a downward spiral that's not going to turn around. And hopefully the city does dissolve so that there can be a new election on the political powers. Because I think people are seeing, you know, what the reality is on this. And all political promises that's been made, nothing's been delivered. We need stability. We need true leadership. And I cannot see how political parties can play that role in the near future. I think we as citizens need to be more organized, and we need to get involved in the business of local government and hold them to account. And I think just the last thing on the metro, it's too big. You know, it needs to start focusing on specific regions and just very cleverly balance it out so that they can have sufficient funds to cater for both the ratepayer as well as the marginalized communities, so that everyone benefits from proper and good services. And that is the infrastructure we need, and that infrastructure needs to be maintained, and then automatically I believe people will invest and the economy will grow.
Just lastly, Julius, and in brief before I let you go, do residents have recourse? What can residents do? Would you say that our hands are tied at this particular moment?
Look, now, I think the first thing that residents need to do is they need to get involved. It doesn't help us to just complain, and we need to be responsible in our actions. It doesn't help us to cause destruction on infrastructure either. I think it's very important that we get organized in our local communities. That's the first thing. In our wards, we need to get organized as civil society and take hands. I think if we build a substantive network and hold government to account, it doesn't matter who comes into power. And the reason I'm saying people need to get organized, even if you have a change in elections now, nothing stops it currently from being disrupted again in the next 6 months or 2 months and the next local government elections. We have to, as a civil society, start ensuring that the right leadership gets into power, that officials do their work, and we have to have oversight on that. And if that doesn't happen, we need to take action. I think it's just in an era that we need to stop complaining and we need to roll up our sleeves ourselves.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. To Julius from eNCA, just giving us a broader perspectives of the dynamics unfolding here in the city of Johannesburg, and of course the effect it would have on the lack of service delivery in the city, and of course, most importantly, on the residents as well.
Absolutely. Pule, listening to Julius there emphasizing the point that a lot of work now needs to commence to get the city up and running because, listen, no one is trying to invest in a city that looks exactly as where you stand, Pule, where trash hasn't picked up in quite a long time, roads are not, fixed, infrastructure definitely deteriorating there. So we have to see, I suppose, what Gwamanda has up his sleeves in terms of that service delivery that he did promise that he will deliver to the residents of Johannesburg. My colleague, Buleli Jones, thank you for joining me this morning.